Hi, how are you?
Hi, Jenny. Hi.
How are
How
you?
about you?
Good. Doing good.
Fine. Good.
Very good. So today you wanted to talk about names, yeah?
Yes.
Perfect. So why? I have a couple of questions for you first. Why did you choose the name Jane? Why? Why is that name?
Um. Okay. Actually, just the the voice of Jim
Mhm.
is similar to my Chinese name.
Okay. What is your Chinese name?
Jing.
Oh, okay. It does sound the same. Yeah, it's very similar. Okay. Jane, so like I said to you before, yeah, Jane is a really popular name, especially in America. It's a name that a lot of people have. Yeah. So you were asking before about how people choose their names or how babies are named. It's really interesting because I have a 4-month-old daughter, and we chose her name because it's a family name. So a lot of families will choose a name from an aunt or an uncle or a cousin, someone else in the family that's named the same. Is that the same in China? Or is it
Can you type type? Can you type the name
her
for
name?
me?
Sure, yeah. So her name is Isabel. So Isabel in Spanish
Can you
is
type the name?
Mhm. So it's Elizabeth. I'm not sure if you've heard that name before. Elizabeth. So Elizabeth in Spanish is Isabel.
Elizabeth. Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Elizabeth. Your family name is Elizabeth.
We have a lot of people in our family that have that name. So for example, my partner's grandmother, her name was Isabel, and my sister is Isabel, and my grandmother was named Isabel too. So it's a name that a lot of people in my family have. So it's kind of like to honor them, right? To honor the name, or to as a way to uh, to create the connection. We name the people from our family, but not everyone does that, right? Some people just choose random names or names that they really like. So it just depends on the family. So what about you? So is your name in Chinese? Is it a family name or is it a name that your parents just liked?
We have family name because for example, my family name is He.
Mm-hmm.
Jing is my is a name my parents like.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole name is He Jun.
Okay, so you say the last name first. The last name is first.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Our first name is our family name.
Okay, right. It's the family's last. Okay, got it. Okay, that's really interesting. So they just liked the name, your name. Yeah, that's interesting.
And so you said your grandmother's name is Isabel.
Elizabeth. Yeah, my grandmother's name.
Your partner's grandma's name is Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So your daughter's name is Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So your family name is which one?
So, well,
family name?
my last name is different. So in Spain, the children take the last names of the two parents. So, for example, if our last names were Smith and Perez, right? So if that was our last name, so my last name is Smith and his last name is Perez, then her name is Isabel Smith Perez. Well, actually, it would be the other way. It would be Perez is first, so Perez Smith. So it's her name first, and then his last name, and then my last name. That's the tradition in Spain. But in the U.S., it's a little different. In the U.S., we use just one last name. So, and it's usually the man. But that's traditional. It's changing now, but the tradition has been just the man's last name. So her name then would be Elizabeth Perez. It would not be Smith, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So it depends on the family, right? How they want to name their children. Yeah.
Well, there may be many different ways to name a baby.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, in the U.S. especially, there's a lot of different names that you can use, and a lot of different ways to name the child. So the name can have. So, for example, in the U.S., if you wanted to use both last names of both of the parents. Let's say my last name is Brown and my partner's last name is Smith, right? So then you can put Brown Smith and have a hyphen. So this is a hyphen. So if you wanted to hyphenate the name, you can do that, right? Or you can have just one.
Your last name is Brown?
No, my last name is not any of these. My last name is actually Richko, which is a little different. It's a kind of a strange last name. It's not very common. Brown, Smith, those are very common last names in America, and like Perez, these types of names are more popular in Spain. They're very common in Spain. What are some popular names in China?
The last name?
Last or first names?
You mean the family name, right?
The first name. So in
the first name. First name.
Is your name common? Is it a popular name?
Yes.
It is?
Yes. Yes.
Do the names change throughout time? So, for example, names like Ruth and Olivia. These names were very popular before, and now they actually are becoming popular again. But they were older names, like names from maybe 70 or 80 years ago. Is that the same in China?
No. My Chinese name is just in our time. It is nowadays we often Jean is a popular name nowadays.
But it was not popular before?
I don't think so.
Okay. So the names change. The popularity changes through time, right?
Can you give some suggestions about how to name we Chinese how to name us?
Oh,
Okay. How we call name our English name?
ooh, that's difficult. I like that you use an American or an English name that is similar to your own name. I think that's a good idea. And like the example that the name that you chose, Jane, is a really good example of a name that's very common. But I think that it depends on the person. For example, I have a student who is named Snow, and Snow is not a very popular name for a person, right? But it's similar to the pronunciation of her Chinese name, and I think it's beautiful. I think, in my opinion, I think it's a really beautiful name that she chose. So for me, Snow is as nice as Jane, for example, right? So it just depends on the person, really. I think it depends on what you like.
Yeah. Snow can be a name.
Yeah, Snow can be a name. It's like I said, it's not as common, right? You know what Snow is, right? What the word snow means? So what is snow? Do you know?
Olivia.
So snow is like snow is in the winter.
Snow is white.
It's white, exactly.
White.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I know snow. So it can be a name. I am very.
Yeah, it's not very popular and not very common, but I think so. I think it's a very beautiful name. Yeah. There are some people named Snow. I've known some people named Rain. So anything about the environment usually is a good name. It's not common, but it's beautiful, right? Rain or
Americans there are Americans named Snow.
Yeah, there's some
Rain.
Yeah, there's some Americans named Snow, Rain, Dew, Honey. These types of names that are either things or environments, right? It, like I said, it's not as common. So, like for example, Jane, your name is more common. Jane is a very common name, a very popular name to have. If you meet someone named Snow, it's not as common. Yeah.
How about Jean? Jean?
Jean's popular too. Jean is popular for a boy or a girl. Jean can be for a boy or a girl. So you can either spell it like this, Jean, or Jean. Both are pronounced the same. And both can be for a boy or a girl. Usually Gene is for a boy, but either way, it's the same. Yeah, that's very popular.
So Jean, Jim, is popular nowadays, or for someone who is 60 or 70 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, but I think even younger too. They're named Jean or Jan even, or like, so Jan is a little bit different from yours. You're Jane, but there's Jan, right? Just without the E. That's popular too in older people, but also there's some young people named these names as well. Yeah. I think Jan is Jan. It's like it's a short A sound, so it's Jan, like that. Jan. It's a little different from Jane. Jane is a long A.
So you mean Jane is more popular than Jane?
No, I think about the same. I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same popularity, I think.
But Jane is more younger. Is younger than Jane?
I don't know. To be honest, I think Jane is probably younger than Jan. Jan sounds a little bit older. But again, these names are more classic names. So you have a lot of different people named these names. Yeah. Yeah, it's and like I said before, some of these names that were older or old-fashioned are now becoming more popular again. Like Ruth and Olivia are becoming popular again. And they haven't been popular since the 1940s or 50s, right? So, yeah, they're coming back and they're becoming popular again. Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah. I think now it's popular to name children after strange or unusual things. So, like, for example, we talked about Beyonce before. Her child is called Blue Ivy. So Blue is her name, like blue the color is her name. That's a very unusual name. That's very strange, right? Like Kanye West, his child is Northwest. So that's a very unusual name too, because that's a direction. That's not very common when you're naming children. Yeah. What about in China? Are there any rules for naming a child? Like for example, in the U.S., colors and directions are not as common, so that's pretty unusual. Is there anything that's unusual in China?
Yes. I think nowadays, some people like to name their baby. For example, if their mother's family name is, for example, their mother's family name is He, but their father's family name is Wen. For example, their baby may be Wen He, and the given name.
Yeah, that's very similar, right, to the U.S. and to Spain. That's becoming more popular. Yeah. I think it's interesting because before it was thought of as a very male-dominated process to name the child after the father, but now it's becoming equal, right? That the father and mother will name the child together. Yeah. Another tradition in the U.S., not so much in Spain, but in the U.S., is to have juniors and seniors. So, like, for example, if there was a man named William, and William has a son named William, the father will be William Senior, and the son will be William Junior. So
Senior
and William Junior. So William Senior is the father, and William Junior is the son. So it's a way of saying they have the same name, but Senior and Junior are ways to differentiate between who's older. Is there anything like that in China, where there's the same name but different? It's like a father and son, or the name is passed down.
Yeah, I think it's similar. You mean the first, the younger one is junior, the sister or the brother is senior?
No, the sister and brother. It's a father and son. So William Senior is the father. William Junior is the son, right? So the father wants. Yeah.
Winnie is their family name, right?
William is the first name of the father. The first name of the father. Yeah. This is really popular. Yeah. So imagine if you had a child and you're the father. Let's say, for example, you're the father named Jane. You would be Jane Senior, and your son would be Jane Junior, right? Jane Junior. It's not popular. In fact, it's not really a tradition for a mother. So mothers and daughters don't have senior and junior. It's only for the father, which I think is very strange, to be honest. It's a very strange tradition that it's only It's only the father and
Yeah.
son. Is there something like that in
Yeah.
China?
And um, I think so I think it's not common in China. We usually give a name a baby. For example, okay, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry.
Who is that?
Okay, my nephew.
Your nephew? What's his name?
No.
Nono. Oh, that's cool. So then Nono could have like a name like Neil or well, Neil. Neil would be a good name for Nono because it sounds similar, no? So if Neil, let's use the name Neil. So if Neil is the son, so it would be Neil Jr. and if Neil was the father, it would be Neil Sr., right? So that's how that works. I think it's kind of strange, to be honest, that it's only the father and the son that have a senior and junior. But it's very traditional. It's very old-fashioned.
So you mean the father's name is Neil?
Mm-hmm.
Their son is Neil Jr.?
Exactly. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's popular to do this. Even as old-fashioned as it is, it's still something that people do in the U.S. Yeah, it's still a practice.
And do you name a baby through looking for Bible?
The Bible? So like names from the Bible? Yeah. People still name their children from the Bible. Michael, Gabriel, David. Yeah, they're definitely popular names still. They're very classic names, right? So they're easy. They're easy names to be able to recognize. So I think a lot of people like them. Yeah. Is that something that's popular in China?
Yeah, we usually look for dictionary.
Oh, okay.
And find some words which are meaningful.
That's nice. I like that.
We some people name their baby according to, for example, a poem.
Oh, okay. That's beautiful.
Some good words in poem.
Yeah. And then people can recognize the poem from the name. So if I'm named after a poem, then people say, "Oh, that's like from." They recognize it's a poem. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I like that.
Yeah. Wow. And so you name a baby. What are other ways you name a baby?
Dictionary might be possible. Yeah. So some people might use a dictionary because they are looking for an unusual name or something that is not very common. I think now people are. This is a little silly, but I think now people are naming their children after television and movies. So a lot of kids are named Ariel, for example, after the Little Mermaid, or I don't know. They're named Daenerys after Game of Thrones, right? I think it's Daenerys. Right after Game of Thrones. So this is popular now. This is popular in Spain and in the U.S. So that television shows or movies.
Name after a television, after some famous people's name.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So named after someone famous or a character in a that's famous, right? So that's becoming that's popular. That's popular to do. Yeah. Like I've known
So-
Ariels before. You know.
Mm-hmm. So you find a word for name, and you will you choose some meaningful words or some manageable
Can you type it?
melodious
Melodious. Melodious.
melodious.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think now people are more concerned about the sound than the tradition. So people use words that sound beautiful, or maybe they don't have a specific meaning, but they sound beautiful, and use those as the name. Or the opposite. Some people will use a name that has a very significant meaning, right? It depends on the person, but yeah, I think that's popular too. Yeah, it's interesting. And then sometimes people will use a very common name, like for example, Jane. They might use Jane is a very popular spelling, but they might just spell it differently, like this or like this, right? So Jane, right? They all are pronounced the same, but just different spellings. That's becoming popular too.
Oh.
Yeah. A popular name is Jennifer. That's a very popular name in the U.S. And a lot of people spell Jennifer in different ways, like with a G, or maybe they have 2 F's instead of like Jennifer, right? So that's become popular too, is have these different spellings. Yeah.
Oh. So actually my Chinese name is Jing. I'll type it for you. Jing. Jing.
Jing.
Can
Okay.
you see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
So-
Jing.
So I think Jing is
Jean.
similar
Yeah.
to this one.
Yeah, it's closer to Jean than Jane. Yeah. But
Yeah.
both sound very similar to Jing, right? Jing, it sounds like Jean or Jane. It depends. Yeah. Yeah. I personally like Jane though. I do like Jane. It's a. Do you know
Which one?
the name you have? I like
Which
it.
one?
Jane. I like Jane because of. Do you know Tarzan?
Who?
Tarzan. It's an older story about a man who lives in the jungle. His girlfriend, I guess, or his love interest was named Jane. So Tarzan and Jane. It always reminds me of that, and I think it's kind of a cute story. So I like the name Jane. It's very cute.
Wow.
Yeah.
But maybe Jane. My name is older.
Oh, it could be,
The
but
other one.
I think it's also a classic name. So I don't think it's a name that actually is not in style. It's always popular. Jane never is. At least for me, Jane is never old fashioned. It's always a classic name. So yeah, I think it's a good name to have. Yeah, you chose very wisely. Yeah, it was a good choice. Definitely. Okay, so we're almost done with the class. So I'm talking to you tomorrow too, right? So if you want to continue with this, we can
Tomorrow
talk
and the day after tomorrow.
on Sunday. Okay, perfect. So we can talk about names, or if there's anything else you want to talk about, just let me know, and we'll discuss it. You can think about it, and if you have an idea, you can message
I'd
me.
like to choose another topic.
Sure. Okay.
I'd like to choose another topic. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk tomorrow.
Perfect. Sounds good. Okay, so I'll talk to you then. Okay.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.